And I want to give you a little secret that you probably missed. Write this down. Becoming an agent of change. I want to show you a secret that you probably never saw before. And I'm going to tie into what our Pastor Simmons talked about. I want to focus on the basic subject, the power of initiating change. The power of what? Initiating change. Write this down. Understanding proactive and reactive leadership. Agent of change has to do with initiating change. But you can end up being a leader who is reactive or proactive. God does not want you to be a reactive leader. To react means that something has already happened, and now you're trying to respond to it. It's too late. The church has been a reactive entity in society. They did a research on the church about 22 years ago, and they wanted to find out how far behind the church was from the progress in society. Based on their research, they concluded that the church is usually 30 to 40 years behind the world. That means by the time the church accepted radio was okay, it was too late. When television was first created, the church went against it and called it demonic. And by the time the church accepted it, the world controlled it. When they invented the internet, the church said it was from the devil. By the time the church, and they're still trying to figure it out, the world already controlled it. We are always reacting. That must change now. Because God did not leave the earth in the hands of the world. He left it in the hands of his church. So we're supposed to be not reactive, but proactive. So I want to show you something. Write this down. The change option. What do I mean by the change option? Well, let's talk about change for a minute. The one thing that is guaranteed in life is what? Change. We know that. But you cannot avoid change or stop change. It's going to happen anyhow. Some of you are feeling it now. But here's the challenge. You cannot stop or avoid change. So the option is, number one, you can become a victim of change or an agent of change. That's the two options you have. You can decide, I'll just wait till it happens and then I'll suffer the consequences. Or I am going to step out and determine what happens so that I can become the one who controls the change. You and I cannot afford anymore to just wait for things to happen. In my book on change, I talk about the 4 types of humans in the world. I'll remind you of them. First, there are those who watch things happen. Second, there are those who let things happen. Third, there are those who ask, what happened? And then there's the 4th group who make things happen. That 4th group will control the world all the time. That 4th group will control your life all the time. Whoever initiates change controls your destiny. That leads me to my next point. Write it down. An agent of change initiates the change they desire. if you do not decide what happens, somebody else will. This is a tough series to even talk about, because people in the Caribbean have a culture of procrastination, timidity, and passivity. Big words, eh? We are passive. We are, somehow our culture got this problem. This is why we are becoming victims of our own culture. We move too late. I've been driving yesterday, going home, and I looked at those buildings going up on the cable strip. And I look at that. I don't know whether I should rejoice or weep, because I'm not sure what that means for me and my children. I really am. I look at it and I go, God, what's happening in my world here? Who controls this? As I drove past those buildings, a scripture burst in my head like a massive flood. I quote it. It's from the book of Proverbs. It says, "He who does not work his own land shall grow poor." That is in the Bible. That means if you don't decide what can happen to your own land, somebody else will. So a change agent is one who what? Initiates the change they desire. They don't wait for other people to decide to turn Hog Island into Paradise Island. That was our Hog Island. At least it was ours, even if it was a hog island. But our insight is so small, lack of vision. We couldn't see that all you had to do was change the name of it.